This is so brilliant. I'm loving this series.
Brilliant.
And like we say, 5 million other people are in agreement with me. Now, at the end of episode 1, we find out this sort of secret about your character.
My little dark secret.
Your little dark secret that you were Dragomir, this character that's involved in a crime organisation and has been looked for by everybody and no one can find this person. And it's it must have been such an interesting script to be given from your perspective, because as we say, it's kind of reflecting life to a certain extent, isn't it?
To a certain extent. I mean, when I've read the first 2 episodes, like I've said before, I fell in love with the character. I mean, she's not the nicest person, but she's trying to make a better life. But I fell in love with her as a character. I thought, this is something I can get my teeth into.
As an actress, all those years ago when you knew you wanted to be an actress, how have things changed, do you think, in that time? I
think it's definitely changed a lot now. In the last 5 years, I think it is changing. When I graduated in 2004, I've said this quite a few times, I wasn't getting the jobs because they kept saying that I wasn't transgender enough. Now, I did understand what they meant up to a certain extent, but it was like a sort of double, it was like a compliment, but at the same time, I still wanted the work. But whenever I watched the programme back, it was always usually a guy playing it with a wig. So I sort of understood they wanted the sympathy for the character. And I remember it was for the Bill ones, I went for an audition and they said to me, we just could never cast you as a transgender because there would be no sympathy for your character. We want the sympathy. And so I understood it. I sort of got it, but at the same time, it was difficult. But I've still played other roles that were non-transgender. And now everything has moved on and is, there's been an outbreak, really, hasn't there?
You know, completely. And I love the fact that in several articles recently, you kind of described your life at the minute as living your best one, really. You're enjoying where you're at the minute, professionally and personally. And it's not until you read your story and as a... You basically just constantly, from the second you could walk and talk, you knew you were in the wrong body.
Yeah, totally. I mean, my parents knew before me. My dad always said to me, since you were like 3 years old, we knew there was something different with you. And I remember asking my mum and my dad, you know, why I hated having my hair cut. I didn't want to wear the little shorts in kindergarten. I mean, I remember those vividly, like asking my parents, and they would explain to me, because you're a little boy, and they would try to explain to me the difference between them. And then, of course, you know, it did become a problem for me especially when you reach sort of 11, 12 years old. It was a huge, huge problem for me. So much so that I did sort of, you know, I didn't want to exist anymore. Until I found out that, you know, it had a name. What I had a name. And I think whenever we are ill or somebody tells you what it is, you somehow feel better.
Yeah, you feel you can fix it then, you see, isn't it? When a doctor says, well, that's what's wrong, so this is then what I'll do to fix it.
That's right. So they said, you are transsexual. And they told me about the James Bond girl, Tula, Caroline Cossey, who immediately I thought, oh, OK. And there was a light at the end of the tunnel for me, immediately. And the fact that I also wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be a woman, so those are the 2 things that I wanted to do. And I've sort of achieved them, and I've managed to do them the best I possibly can, really. So,
what would you say, and there could be many people at home going through that emotional turmoil that you described there, Talisa, what would you say to young people that are maybe feeling those thoughts right now?
To talk to somebody. I think you really do need to talk about it, and I think parents have to be a little bit understanding with their children, because I come from a family which is, you know, mainly men, as my dad and 3 brothers and my mum. So, and they are an old school type of family. So men's men type of thing. And my parents, my dad changed, you know, when he saw how much I was suffering. And when I was 16, I remember my dad saying to me, I said to my dad, Dad, whatever happens, I'm going to have a sex change. I want to be a woman. And he said, you will make the most beautiful woman. You know, and this is a man that was, you know, you would never expect him to be like that, because it's his child. You know, what can you do? And I think you've got to listen to your child. You know, be alert, be aware of what they're doing and how they're behaving. And if their behaviour carries on into sort of 9, 10 years old, then maybe see a psychiatrist. I mean, a psychologist, psychiatrist, somebody that they can talk to.
There is help there, basically.
There is help, yeah.
And how lucky you were to have such a loving family.
Yeah, I mean, I was so lucky. So, I mean, a lot of people aren't. I mean, I knew people that were kicked out of their homes when they were 15 for being gay or for being transgender. So I've seen it all. And I know I'm extremely lucky to have had the parents that I mean, we're not perfect, but they, you know, with me, they are my perfect family.
Of course they are. Well, Talisa, this is such a great series, and you are fantastic in it. Like I say, Baptiste, BBC One, Sunday at 9 p.m. I purposely didn't want to ask you anything because I don't want any stories. You can't give anything away.
I won't say a word anyway. I can't.
Good. I know.